Let's bring in Muin Rabbani. He is the co-editor of Jadalia. He joins us live from Montreal. Muin, what do you make of these words from U.S. President Donald Trump, basically threatening Iran with more strikes unless Iran makes peace, as he calls it?
Before Trump spoke, there were indications that the United States had sent messages to Iran that it did not plan to conduct further strikes, that it was not seeking regime change. And if the strikes were not the spectacular success that Trump claimed, then there remained the possibility that Iran would respond with restraint and not seek to expand the conflict by directly retaliating against U.S. forces. What Trump basically said is Iran now has a choice. It either capitulates or there will be further attacks on it. And I think this makes it impossible for the Iranians not to respond, and it certainly makes it impossible for them to return to the negotiating table, something I think which was already had a very slim chance in the wake of these attacks. I think we need to remember this is a scenario that the Iranians have anticipated for many years, that they have prepared for many years, and what the United States did this evening in the wake of the unprovoked war unleashed by Israel on the 13th of June is going to take us into uncharted territory. And this is absolutely not the end of this. I think, unfortunately, the coming days are going to see some very damaging consequences and repercussions on account of what Israel, and now with the participation of the United States, have decided to do. And I think once this conflict expands further, regime change in Tehran will increasingly be the strategic objective of both Israel and the United States.
I'm wondering about your analysis here. What happened? You know, the U.S. were about to hold another round of nuclear talks with Iran. They had those talks in Rome. And then Israel went ahead and bombed Iran just a few days before those talks were due to take place. Iran kept on saying, yes, we're open for more dialogue, for more diplomatic discussions, but Israel needs to stop bombing us, basically. And now the U.S. went ahead and instead of calling Netanyahu, telling him to stop bombing Iran, the U.S. went ahead and joined in bombing Iran. What happened along the way? Why did not those diplomatic discussions yield the outcome that it appears, at least, that Iran wanted, a new deal, a new possibly JCPOA deal on the table?
Well, that's exactly right. We need to remember that the United States, rather than conducting the scheduled next round of negotiations with Iran in Oman, instead authorized Israel to unleash an unprovoked war against Iran. And we're aware now that there were informal diplomatic contacts between the United States and Iran. And the message that the Iranians consistently sent is we're prepared to resume negotiations, but not under fire. So you need to ensure that Israel stops attacking Iran, and then we'll talk. And the U.S. response was to conduct this attack this evening. You know, we keep talking about the Iranian nuclear weapon, and what's consistently left out of the picture is that there is a nuclear power in the Middle East, and that nuclear power is Israel. And this is very much a war to ensure that Israel can maintain its monopoly over nuclear weapons in the Middle East. And you know, the idea that Iran, with its very advanced technological base, that its nuclear program can be eliminated from the air rather than just delayed by a few months or at most a few years is an illusory pipe dream. It's not going to happen. And I think the effect of this will be that many within the Iranian regime and in the broader Iranian public will be looking at this and increase pressure on the Iranian leadership to now cross the nuclear threshold, because they will say what Israel and the United States are showing us now is that we have only two options, either North Korea or Iraq, and we don't want to be another Iraq.
So you're saying you think that this is actually going to push Iran into actually pursuing nuclear weapons when they weren't doing that before?
Well, what I'm saying is that the pressure on the Iranian leadership to now cross the nuclear threshold has increased very, very significantly. Whether the leadership responds to that by actually responding to these pressures or for reasons of its own, crossing that threshold remains to be seen. But I think it will be difficult for them not to, given also that Israel has been trumpeting regime change day and night since the 13th of June. And again, the Iranians will be thinking, do we want to be North Korea, which is essentially immune to military attack from the United States, or do we want to end up like Iraq in 2003?
All right, Muin Rabbani from the Jadalia. You're the co-editor of Jadalia. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here
Thank
at
you.
GOT World. Thank you so much.